Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm so grateful. In today's video, I wanted to talk about a specific quote by Neville that states, "You have to do nothing but convince yourself." So I want to talk about what that actually means. That quote really resonated with me and the way I teach conscious creation. So I've recently started reading a book written by Neville. He's not the manifestation person I started following because I started my journey of conscious creation way before this, way before I knew any of this in theory. Way back, I think in 2014 is when I started practicing this. And in theory, I started learning more about it through different resources around 4 to 5 years back. I know he is one of the really early teachers who has set a really good base for new people to learn from. And he was definitely teaching from his experiences, from his journey, and that's what I am doing on my channel. So I just started reading one of his books called Power of Awareness. And as and when I resonate with something really strongly, I would pick that up as a topic and try to explain it in my way in my upcoming videos. So, this is how the quote exactly goes. You have nothing to do but convince yourself of the truth of that which you desire to see manifested. As soon as you succeed in convincing yourself of the reality of the state sought, results follow to confirm your fixed belief. So, what happens most of the time is very naturally and very normally, we tend to have our focus on the 3D a lot, which is the external reality, right? Because this is something which is around us, we are living in it, and we are really able to experience it with all our senses. And it's really easy for the external world to pull our focus because we feel the things here are tangible because we can see it, we can hear it, we can physically touch and feel it. As a human, naturally, that is our first instinct. We let everything around us convince us how things are for us, how things are going to be for us, and how things have been for us in the past. So, in our daily, regular life, in our reality, everything else that is outside is convincing us of the things that are taking place, of how our reality is, of what kind of beliefs should be within us. It's convincing you that this is your story. It's convincing you that you are going through something. It's convincing you that this person is like this. Now, the thing here is that kind of focus, letting the 3D reality, this external reality, convince you of what is actually true or what should be true for yourself, won't really let you manifest your desires. Now, what will manifest? What will enable you to let all the desires you have materialize in this external reality? That is you convincing yourself of the truth, not letting anything outside, any circumstances, any situations, any people, any words they are saying, convince you of what has to happen, but you convincing yourself of what your truth needs to be. This reminds me of another quote by Neville, "No one to change but self." So you just have to convince yourself, no one else, that what will materialize for you, what your reality would be, and what are your beliefs going to be about this. Irrespective of what's happening outside, irrespective of what someone is saying, irrespective of anything that is happening in front of your eyes. So now what do you need to do to convince yourself of that truth, of that new story which you want materialized outside? There's just one thing you need to do. The way you keep going outside, the way you keep getting pulled outside, you keep putting your focus outside, you have to start practicing and training yourself to keep going in your internal world instead of this external world. You need to convince yourself that you are that person who has this desire, for whom this desire is going to show up very soon. Are you being that person? Are you being that person who already has abundance of wealth and money? Are you being that person internally who has this beautiful relationship? Are you being that person who feels that your specific person is all about you? Are you being that person who feels you are going to have this amazing, amazing career? You're going to be at this amazing position and you're going to keep getting these amazing job opportunities throughout your life. Are you being that person? Are you being the person who knows he or she is loved, admired, cherished, chosen all the time? No one to convince but yourself, no one to change but self. You have to just convince one person of your truth, and that is you, no one else outside. You should not be trying to convince your specific person in the 3D that you should be treating me this way. You should be talking to me this way. This is how you should be seeing me. You need to convince yourself that I am that person who is seen that way, who is thought about that way, who is treated that way, not by just this one specific person, but generally by all the people that are in my life. You don't have to convince anyone to love you. You need to convince yourself. That again comes to your self concept, that you are loved, you are likable, you are lovable. You need to create that story about yourself, work on your self confidence, create that worthiness and confidence within you, and you need to convince yourself that yes, I am that person who would be chosen, who would be always admired, who would be always, shown up for. So practice it over and over again. Keep going back to that story. The more you feel you're being pulled to see the 3D, to believe the 3D is true, to believe what's happening is set in stone, to believe this circumstance, to believe it will not change. The more you feel that urge of being pulled over there, each time, every time, train yourself to turn around and go back to your internal world and really tell yourself and convince yourself, what is my story? What person am I? Remember, you don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. So, are you being that person? You just have to convince yourself of that. And the more you train yourself to convince yourself of that, that will become your truth. That will become a dominant belief in you. And eventually, that will reflect outside. And that is how your 3D will start shifting. It will become such a natural part of who you are, your identity, your personality, that it has to show up outside. There's no other way around it, okay? Whatever you dominantly perceive and persist in within you, it will show up outside. Hello, baby. So before you start working on any new desire, okay, anything that's coming up within you and you want to consciously create it and you consciously want to choose that experience for yourself in your reality, come back to this one line again and again and tell yourself, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to convince anyone who's outside. I don't really have to pay attention to what's happening in the 3D. I will see it. I will be aware of it. But I don't have to give an emotional reaction to it if it's not going my way. Because I am creating this story within me which will soon reflect outside. Because I don't have to convince anyone else but myself. And that is something I will work towards. I will work towards convincing myself and knowing within me really truly what my new story, what my new reality needs to be. Okay, so that's all I wanted to discuss in that video. I really hope it added some value to your manifestation process. In case you have any kinds of question around this, you can leave it in the comment section below. I also have all my social media handles linked below. My Instagram, Threads for a regular dose of motivation. I recently created a TikTok account. So if you want to see some really short videos, you can also follow me over there. Also my second YouTube channel, which is around self-development and mindset, not really from a manifestation perspective, but in general. So if that interests you, you can subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, have a great week.